Welcome, Rinkcast, to the Kraken Hostel Seattle Rinkcast, live from the Puck Hockey Studios. This is Season 1, Episode 4. You've heard the previous 3 episodes were a little earlier, but welcome to Episode 4. We're getting back into things here. Today is Friday, September 24th, 2021, and I am your host, Jeff Osborn, a.k.a. Gatekeeper, and also Puck and Hostel on Twitter. And with that being said,
that is the Osborn way.
And since camp is going with the Kraken, and I'm now covering the Kraken, I thought it would be a good time to actually bring in a previous guest, and I'm going to add him here right now. We have Brandon Seeley from the 32 Crew. Now you're going to notice that the name has changed. Brandon was on with us before with the unnamed group that he had started. But now he is with the 32 Crew. You could find him all on Twitter, and he's 32 Crew captain on Twitter as well. But you were the first big group, online fan group for the Kraken real early on, which is why I kind of started following you and stuff like that. So why don't we can get right into this because we're going to talk a little hockey later. But why don't you get a little into kind of let them know, remind people, what you're kind of about, and then I'll lead into kind of the rest of the story since then.
Cool. Yeah. So I started a fan supporters group for the Seattle Kraken. Started on Twitter the day after the Kraken name was announced. Just did it for fun. We were on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we were just watching NHL. I think we were watching the playoffs. We watched 2 Stanley Cups so far together as a group. And long story short, we were known as the Kraken Krew before. Different name, different logo. And then earlier this year, the Seattle Kraken themselves reached out due to the fact that, before I started selling merchandise and using the Kraken name and the colors, there was kind of a conflict there. And a lot of employees and a lot of people just follow the crew on social media. So it's hard, not to see what's going on. And so the first person that reached out was Lance. I want to say he's the executive. Let me get his title. Executive Vice President, General Counsel of the Seattle Kraken. So pretty high up there. He sent me an email, hey, can I have your phone number? We'd like to talk about, the use of our name and et cetera, et cetera. And in my mind, I was like, man, we're done. Like, they're going to shut us down. They don't want to work with us at all or even notice us. And then, so I gave him my contact info. Maybe like 2-3 weeks go by and I don't hear anything. So I'm like, for sure, like, this is not going to happen. And, so I sent a DM to Tim Lywicki just randomly about Lance reaching out. Just did
That's
it.
bold, man. That's really bold. Because for those who don't necessarily know, like, I'm from Chicago. I've covered the Blackhawks for years and years and years. And like me thinking about, DMing Danny Wirtz. Right. He is on Twitter and everything, but like thinking about going to write to Danny Wirtz and being like, hey, what's up, yo?
I know. I think I still have it. I forgot exactly what I said, but his response was, all he said was, let me talk to Todd. And if you don't know who his brother is, maybe you should look it up, but they're pretty high up there in the Kraken chain. So, and then maybe
they're high up in a lot of chains, not just the Kraken. Yeah. They're in a lot of different things. Yeah.
And so maybe a day after that, it was fast after I DM'd him. Shout out to Aaron Wiggin. He's the guy that I'm the closest with the Kraken. He's the vice president of brand for the team. He called me. We had a conversation, like an hour on the phone, like just good vibes. Like it was never came across like, hey man, like you can't be doing this. Like you got to change it up or we're going to get attorneys involved. Like it was never, he didn't bring that up once. And he was like, hey, I want to pitch an idea to you. You've got to change your name and your logo, but the team is willing to help you do that. And of course, it'd be crazy for me to turn that down. And I didn't want to, burn any bridges or anything like that. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So he was like, get back to me in about a week or two with, your new idea, what you got. And I was like, all right. And so I came back with the 32 crew. I like the crew vibe, so I was trying to keep it kind of the same, and then tie in the number 32 with being the 32nd franchise. And I don't know, we could do so many things with like 32 degrees being the freezing point of like water and stuff. I don't know. I was just thinking all that stuff. And he was like, yep. He's like, let's do it. And I can't draw for anything, but I drew up like a skull and a crossbone with the hockey sticks. And then his team took that over, and what you see behind me is what they came back with. And so a lot of their, like, shout out to those folks. I'm still, I talk to them. A lot of their artists, their art director follows the Twitter on us. And yeah, and I've Zoom called with Aaron a lot, and just there's a good relationship there. And
Got like a rapport.
oh yeah, for sure. So I'm glad that it's just something you would never think a professional team would ever, like, why would they help a little fan supporters group? Like, usually I don't know if it's ever happened before, but it was a total shock when they reached out to help
Right.
rebrand this thing.
Right.
So yeah, that's what they came up with back there. So I came up with the name and the overall concept of what I was looking for with the logo, but they drew it up and sent it back to me. So, and yeah, that's the story.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think my video's locking up here, but that's all right.
It's all good.
So anyway, yeah. I mean, if you compare it to other teams, it's crazy because, like, you can't imagine other teams doing stuff like this.
No.
Again, I'm most familiar with the Blackhawks because I cover the Blackhawks, but I can't, like, the Blackhawks would send a lawyer after you and they would say cease and desist, and that would be it. There wouldn't be a negotiation. There wouldn't be a, hey, we don't want to hurt your feelings. There wouldn't be any of that stuff. And big teams like, in New York, in Chicago, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could think of a team that probably wouldn't do the same thing. So to think that, the Kraken thought enough of the fans to say, hey, we have the support. We don't want to alienate them by threatening them.
Right.
And then, then coming back and helping you rebrand into something else is amazing. That is incredible that they would do something like that. And and it's not even like, and I was going to kind of bring this up, that the group they have, it's what, the depth or something like that. Right. I was, you got to pay a certain amount of money and you get these insider things and all this stuff. It's not even like that. It's not, you guys aren't like an official team thing.
No.
You are yourself. You are your own thing. You are the fan, a fan group. And that's why it's so great, because they recognize that and they embraced it. And, you're going to now, because of your interaction with the team and with what, how nice they were about it, you're now going to go forward and have nothing but nice things to say about dealing with the organization because of the way they treated you. And it was a small thing, like not being a threatening asshole that does stuff like that. And it's amazing that, like, more teams don't understand that.
Right.
Some more than others are better at some things, dealing with fans and groups and stuff like that. But I think it's amazing. I don't, I'm not familiar with fan groups of all teams.
Right.
But I got to imagine there aren't a whole lot that had the same situation as you and ended up coming out, at the other end like you did. It's really cool.
Right.
I'm really impressed by it. I was impressed with the team before, and a lot of things that they've been doing. So I kind of had an idea what was going on.
Yeah.
I saw your messages online, and without knowing the story and kind of knowing how teams operate and stuff like that, I could kind of tell what was going on, because there was an abrupt change
It was
to
fast.
the way your things were. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was like very abrupt. Like you would stop doing some things, stop using the Kraken Krew part, using Kraken and Krew together.
Right.
And then I, noticed the graphics. So I kind of knew what was going on, but then you weren't like, I got to shut things down, or you weren't like, I'm just going to go by my regular Twitter name or anything like that.
Right.
So yeah, that was
I
really
agree,
cool to
man.
see from a distance.
It was, and that was one of the first questions I asked when Aaron, made that comment about, hey, what do you feel? How do you feel about us, working with you? I was like, well, I got to be honest. Like, if you guys do this for me, is it mine still? Like,
Yeah.
am I allowed to sell T-shirts? Am I allowed? Like, you guys drew it up. You guys are using your hours when you could be doing something else to create this for me. And he's like, nope, like it's yours. Don't even. You'll never have to worry about that. So yeah. So that gave me, a boost of confidence. Like, okay, we're doing it the right way. And like you said, like, I mean, if they came out and told me like, hey, you got to rebrand, whatever, like I would have did it.
Mhm.
I think there's too many followers for me to just shut it down and just give up.
Right.
So especially before the season, like we haven't even played yet. Why would I don't want to give up now. Like we've been doing this for almost 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
So
You've already put your heart into
I
it,
know.
and you're still on the incline,
Mhm.
and you don't want to have to do that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you too. Like if someone was to say, the logo you're using or whatever, you got to, rebrand or something, I'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever, man.
Yep.
Because I've used logos for different things, my previous websites and things like that.
Mhm.
I was kind of talking about in the pre-chat that like I've used, and like you could see, like if you're looking at the logo right here, I mean that is the same logo with some changes on it.
Right.
I just use it to signify our division, and I don't sell any merchandise with that on there. But
Right.
it's very easy. They could come to us and say, hey, boom.
Mhm.
Don't
Yep.
use that anymore, and I have to make something else out
Yep.
of it. So
For sure.
yeah,
Yep. And
very
the
cool,
rela-
man.
Yep. And Aaron says reach out whenever you want. He's hooked me up with a bunch of stuff, and I told him like, hey man, if you're gonna give me something, like make sure you know include something else for one of the crew members or whatever. Like how he reached out for the expansion draft,
Mhm.
and that was invite only, and I didn't have tickets in the beginning, and he emailed me like a day before the draft, like, hey, was it 10 or 12? I forget. He's like, hey, I got 10 tickets. Are you trying to go? I was like, hell yeah, I'll go. And he knew not to like, hey, I got like one ticket. And it's just stuff like that. Like he knows to always, include the crew and just that whole thing. So
Yeah, that's really nice because it's
we're
like
good. Like I don't
we-
want to
we-
be. I'm just not me. Like I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to. This is not going to turn into my day job. Like this is all
Right.
for fun. Like it's for everybody else to be something to get around, be proud of. So if I'm gonna be, invited to something, then I need to bring someone with me. So
Oh, I totally understand. I mean,
yeah.
in a lot of ways, it's like the website, The-Rink.
Mhm.
John and I founded it, but we have a staff of several writers and
Right.
podcasters and things like that. And it's like, we had to go out and get, we covered the Chicago Wolves, the Chicago
Mhm.
Steel, stuff like that. And some of the teams actually came to us and asked us to cover them
Right.
because they wanted the extra coverage. But
Mhm.
it's like it's not all for me. Like I
No.
don't want all the stuff.
No.
I that's not what I'm here for. Like
Mhm.
I would like to spread the wealth. If they give us some free things, I would like to offer it to the writers because
Right.
they do work. I mean, let's be honest. None of us get paid for any of this stuff. So it's like
Mhm. Yep.
we're doing this out of our free time. We're doing because we like to do it. I'm spending a Friday night here doing a podcast about a team that's hundreds of miles away because
Yeah.
I like, because I
Mhm.
like doing it and I want to do it.
Definitely.
So, but definitely spreading the wealth out. You're the head of the group, but that doesn't necessarily mean, you're the only voice of the group. There's a whole bunch of people, that are there with you.
For
I like
sure.
to kind of feel sometimes that I'm an honorary, even though I'm
Oh,
from
yeah.
distance, because I got some of the old G stuff.
Oh,
So
I know,
you
man.
You sent me the yes, you sent me some of the OG stuff. I got it, packed away
Mhm.
because eventually when I get my office set up in my new place, I'm gonna hang some of it up. So
Right. I know sometimes I feel kind of awkward that, a whole bunch of people purchase flags, and I was like, all right, well, maybe that some of that stuff will be worth something one day. We can look back, in 30
Yeah.
years where we all
Yeah.
started.
yeah, I find like old business stuff that I've got in crates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not, and most of it I toss out, but I keep a little bit of it,
Right.
just for nostalgia purposes.
hmm
So anyway, so the Kraken, I just got a text from, we might be having another guest join us shortly.
Okay.
If he can get his stuff working. So anyway, camp started, this week. You were actually out at camp. I'm jealous because me being where I'm at, I can't just, hop in a car and go to camp.
Right. Yeah.
I would have liked to have gone to see camp because the drafts and the showy things and all that stuff, like, that's not really for me.
Hmm.
Like, I've never been to a Blackhawks convention or anything like that. Like, that's
Right.
just not my. I feel weird about that, but I will go out to the rink and watch players practice and stuff like that. So
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this has got to be pretty cool for you, being your
Mhm.
first time, being at like a camp like that,
Right.
a pro camp, I'm
Right.
assuming.
Yep, it is.
And being out there, and plus it's their, brand new practice facility and all that
Mhm.
stuff.
Right.
So, what was it like, going out to camp yesterday, I believe?
Yeah, so I went there yesterday. Their first session in the morning. Um, I don't know. It was just I don't want to say weird. It was just soaking it all in, like walking along the rink, going up to the benches, and like there's Jordan Eberle right there. Like what I don't know. It's just like that. This is like for real. Like these guys are really here. They're Krakens now, and I don't know. It was just a fun experience to actually see them in person for the first time. Just grinding it out there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. When I went out and got married in Vegas, it just so happened they were getting ready to get rolling for the season. It was this time of year, September
Mhm.
19th. So they had training camp going on, and I brought my kid over to the practice rink for the Golden Knights. They had
Right.
one day that we were there where they were having practice, and
Hmm.
it was really cool because it's in the newer markets, it's different
Right.
uh than the existing old school type markets like Chicago.
Hmm.
They welcome fans being at practices. They actually, what I thought was really cool with the Golden Knights is they had a line. They would have a player come out after practice.
Hmm.
You never knew who it was going to be, but I think it was, I don't know. I think it was Max Pacioretty.
Hmm.
But he came out, and they have a line that only children can stand in. They don't
Nice.
let all the autograph seekers up there.
Yeah, yeah.
Only children. You could stand next to your child just to make sure they get through, but it's only kids get to go up there and have their stuff signed. And
Hmm.
I thought that was a cool little thing. My
Right.
son, at the time was 7 years old. He thought that was the coolest thing ever. He
Hmm.
could go up there. We ran over, bought something in the pro shop, and he went and stood in line and got it signed.
Right.
So it's like, you know, these new teams, like, they're coming in brand new. They come in with fresh ideas and stuff like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see. So, I don't know for sure because I didn't see all the reports, but I'm hoping they're doing more things like that I did see like they raised the stick to the fans and everyone gave them a standing ovation out there. I'm
Right.
like, that's kind of cool,
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Actually,
you,
I think like just during the regular season, like practices, it's going to be
Mhm.
open to the public. So I think the depths members get priority, but I don't think it's gonna like sell out during a practice session when we're in the middle of the season. So I think you'll be able to just walk in and just watch them. They got the bar and grill
Mhm.
upstairs with big windows, get some
Yeah,
lunch and watch them practice. So
I was looking at, I think the practice rink. Doesn't the practice rink, they have these huge screens on each side
yeah,
of the
so
rink?
one of them I know for sure has a 32-foot screen, and I think in away games they're gonna have fans in there. You can watch them play when they're away, skate on the rink with your
Like
family,
a
like
road
just
watch
just
kind
a
of thing.
whole
Yeah.
yep. Hmm.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Awesome. That's that's cool. I'm glad you got to get out there. Are you going to be able to get out there anymore, or was that your only time getting out there this year?
So I'm a depths member. You only get one ticket.
Mhm.
But I think there's been a few people DMing me saying they have extra tickets, but I think I'm just gonna, give it away. Like
Okay, I got you.
I don't need to go multiple times. I rather,
Right.
someone else have that experience. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And
sure.
you're not like right in close. You're
No,
a little bit
yeah,
out
it's
of
like
the
a hour 20 drive. So
yeah.
I can't just yeah, it's a commitment to go there. So
Yeah, and that's not rush hour. That's like
oh yeah.
long drive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I get that. I get how that is. So that's cool.
Hmm.
So I mean, since we last talked, I think we talked in I did maybe February. It was probably.
Yeah, it was
It's been a
early.
long time.
Yep.
Nothing. I mean, we've had. Let's see. I have it all here plotted out on my screen. I mean, we've had the expansion draft, we had the jersey reveals, we had the regular draft, and now we've had the first day of camp. So and all that and everything else that was done, like the Stanley Cup was awarded in that time. I mean, it wasn't even the playoffs, I think, the last time we talked. So it's been quite a while with a lot of stuff going on. Now, I'm assuming that you guys, maybe had to get together or at least have discussed, like, how you thought the expansion draft went.
Right.
Give me your thoughts on what you thought. I mean, I'll give mine afterwards. I want to get yours first. What did you think about the expansion draft and how? Because there were a lot of moving pieces and there was a lot of drama around certain players being exposed that were big names but had big salaries as well and things like that. So, what did you think of the expansion draft and how that went?
I think going into it, everybody with their mock drafts and all that, we're always going to get compared to Vegas. Them being the newest expansion team. And I think a lot of us went into it thinking that, they were going to be wheeling and dealing and we're going to be getting a whole bunch of picks for selecting someone from a certain team. And obviously, I think we were all wrong about that. I think, did they even make a trade? I don't think they made any trades before the draft.
No.
So they definitely had... they talked about how Ron, his price was too high. I don't know if that was true or not, but I think they went into it, they had a plan and they stuck to it. And when you really look at the roster, not taking on bad contracts and guys with, upside that, if they're in change of scenery, they get more ice time. Like you just there, I don't know. They definitely had a game plan and they stuck to it for sure.
Yeah.
Besides Grubauer being a surprise at the end there.
That was a huge surprise to me as well.
Oh yeah.
But that was free agency kind of. But
right.
I saw a lot of people were like, well, they could get Tarasenko and they could get Carey Price, and it's like I kind of admire Francis not getting himself into cap trouble.
Yep.
Right off the bat. Because with that open slate, you can go out there and maybe spend a little extra money like you did on a Grubauer, you know? So, for him to go out there and not take the bait because someone threw a big name out there, that was good. What I really think, though, is he could have probably could have used his cards a little better in the fact that, like, saying, all right, Montreal, what would you give me not to take Carey Price? I mean, because I don't think they really wanted him to take Carey Price. They put him out there so that they could protect somebody else. They didn't want Carey Price to go.
Right? Did you really? Want
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows what the contingency plan is if you don't have Carey Price as your number one goalie? So I don't really think they wanted that. So he could have gone to them and said, "Hey, what will you give me so I don't take Carey Price?"
Right.
And then, maybe it's a draft pick or whatever the case is. Or maybe he even did go out there and he didn't get any takers. They're like, okay, go ahead, take Price,
Right.
But it doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem, like they probably could have taken Tarasenko.
Right.
Or he could have done the opposite way. He could have said, hey, you want to get rid of Tarasenko for next to nothing. You got to give me something.
Right.
Give me a player, give me a draft pick, and I'll take Tarasenko. He could have done it the other way, and he didn't do any of that stuff. So I was kind of disappointed that he didn't do any of that.
Right.
I think they were a little more shrewd. Vegas was a little more shrewd doing that, taking stuff like that. And so I wish he would have done a little more. But as far as the draft goes, he picked a bunch of third liners, borderline second liners. Like Jordan Eberle has a curve to him. I mean, I could bring up here. I'm going to try and bring up the lines here. And, this is definitely by no means, set in stone or anything like that. But as you can see here, there were these are the kind of the lines, and Yanni Gord isn't even going to be around for a while.
Right.
He's ahead of schedule and stuff, but these guys are all third line players.
Right.
Jordan Eberle's maybe a second, Donskoy's maybe a second, but they're all pretty much third line players. So you got a team you're creating with third line players.
Right.
It's kind of,
and it's kind of like, I think some of these guys, you kind of want to see what they can do coming from the teams they came from and who they were playing with, the Eberles of the world, the Yannis of the world. Can they perform not being around certain players from their previous teams, and now they're the guys? So I don't know.
Yeah, and that kind of segues into my one question that I was going to ask, and pretty much, who do you think is going to be the breakout player? That turns into like the William Karlsson, like that came out of nowhere. And, William Karlsson had 40 goals his first year. And I'm not saying he was going to have 40 goals, but a guy who previously was like a 15-goal guy, or could be a defenseman, or could be Chris Drieger. It could be or Drieger. It could be that. What do you think, from what you've seen?
Yeah, I think, well, yesterday, I don't know if you saw, a lot of the talk with the first line out there was Jared McCann being between Shorts and Eberle. That was kind of a lot of people are saying that Alex Wenberg is going to, run that 1C until Yanni comes in. But I don't know, Jared McCann, he's an interesting, coming from Pittsburgh, being behind who he was, stepped up when injuries came around. And he kind of, I don't know, a lot of these guys it's hard to say like what they will do. I mean, they haven't gotten the ice time like they're about to get. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
And that was the thing with Karlsson. He was never put in that position.
Right.
And when he was put in that position, he scored 40 goals. Now,
yeah,
the worst part about that is, they had to pay him as a 40-goal scorer, and then now he's not reached that again.
No.
So, that's a really hard position. I mean, I look at this roster. I mean, I've heard good things about McCann. Wenberg has kind of been a disappointment. He's kind of a third line center with Florida.
Right.
I mean, other than that, I mean,
yeah, a lot of these guys are like, they have upside, the Geekies, the Appletons. It's like, all right, well, let's see. Like, I don't know.
I a lot of these guys, there's a reason they were available,
Right.
And so it's really hard to tell. I mean, I would go with, I've always kind of liked Wenberg a little bit. So I'm going to go that he may kind of be a breakout player. He may turn out to be that number 2 center, behind Yanni Gord. He may, start the season. He could, get at a certain point, be the number 1 until Gord comes back. I think he's flexible enough. I think he's talented enough, and he's got kind of a pedigree to him.
Right.
That I think maybe that will be it. As far as defense, what do you think about, who's going to be the guy that's going to surprise on defense?
I mean, I really like, let me think. I think,
here's a bigger roster here I got on the screen for you.
I mean, signing Vince Dunn, I know he has his turnover issues, but I don't know, he's one of those young guys that he can still, I mean, our defense overall, like, obviously the way the team is built from the back end, that's going to be our strength, but I really like Vince Dunn.
I'm actually a big Vince Dunn fan myself. I have been for years. And, being where I'm at, he was with St. Louis, and I hated St. Louis, but I loved so many of the defensemen on the St. Louis, Colton Parayko, Vince Dunn, Joel Edmondson, like even Shattenkirk was, at one point in time. And then you had Pietrangelo. Like those were all really good defensemen. As much as I hated the Blues, I hate everything about them, but those were some damn good defensemen. And Vince Dunn, I think, I mean, he's still young. He's got a lot of games in. So I think he's going to be a really good player. Going down the line here, Adam Larson is what he is. And anyone who's listened to our Chicago stuff, we got someone else joining us here. So It's my boy Burkie.
Yo.
Hey, what's going on, man? We are live, so watch what you say.
Sure.
We're kind of just talking about, and I'll kind of introduce you a little bit once we get through this subject, since you're just kind of joining in now. But I've actually got the roster up here on the screen with all the players, and we're kind of talking about any players that jumped out to us that we thought may be kind of breakout players.
Okay.
I was just kind of talking about the defense a little bit, and some of these players that they got on the defense. So,
Excellent.
if you want to jump in, let me know.
For sure. I don't have a camera set up on this computer. My MacBook, it wouldn't let me use Safari to run the StreamYard, so I'll have a camera next time I'm on if I'm on again.
All right. Yeah. No worries, man. Can you see what we have going on here?
Yes.
Okay,
your
cool.
camera seems to be freezing every
it is.
30 seconds or so. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's got to be the internet here, but as long as my audio is getting through, that's the important part. So anyway, back to where we were at. I'm kind of looking at the roster here. Alexiak's good. Larson's good. Giordano, of course, is going to be really, he's a good, solid guy. They got a good, solid core of defensemen on the back. None of them are super flashy.
No.
I mean, none of them are going to really, get you up out of your seats. They're not Eric Carlson in their heyday. They're not, anything like that right now, but they're solid from top to bottom, which is important. And, on top of that, you've got really solid goalies in net. I think. I've been a fan of Grubauer for a while. I wasn't sure how he was going to do in Colorado, and he kind of started off slow. But he's a good player, and Dreger, he had an excellent year with the Panthers. I don't know if he's a flash in the pan because he's never really been that number one guy. So I'm not really sure. It doesn't surprise me they went out and got someone on top of Dreger. Right. Or Dreger. Because he doesn't have they didn't have any goalies other than Carey Price that were in there. And what else are you going to do? Are you going to count on Dreger and Vitek Vanacek and Joey Decord? None of these guys are really, I guess Vanacek was the closest, I don't know, to being a number one last year, but none of them have really been that number one guy. Right. And there are a lot of examples of goalies who were great number twos, Scott Darling, and couldn't hack it as a number one goalie. Right. And so, that workload changes significantly. And the pressure changes significantly. Right. So some people can't do it. And there was a little bit of question whether Grubauer was going to do it, coming from Washington over. And he last year, he had a great year. Granted, he played in front of a great team, but he had a great year. So,
yeah, I don't think it was a question on why they went and got Grubauer. I don't think, Ron Francis hesitated at all. I think after the expansion draft, we had Dreger, and it's kind of like, all right, and then as soon as, it was a surprise that Grubauer was available, they just jumped on it and locked that up real quick. So,
yeah.
And like you said, the top four, like Giordano, Alexiak, Dunn, Larson, it's solid. They're going to block shots. They're going to hit people. I think training camp is just coming down to that third pairing. Who's going to, the Fleuries, the Lauzon, the Soucies, there's a whole bunch of names that could fill in there as well.
Yeah, Gustav Olofsson. And Chicago native Connor Carrick. He's from the Orland Park area, which is basically 5 minutes east of where I'm at where I'm sitting right now. So, so Burkie, I'm going to drag you into this, my friend.
Yeah.
So we talked to Brandon a little bit about, camp and stuff like that. And we're talking about the rosters here. You've seen enough of the rosters, and you're a friend of mine. You live in the Seattle area, and you have a very familiar surname with hockey players. But you're going to cover, or at least the plan was kind of that you were going to do some kind of coverage a little bit in the Seattle area for the Kraken.
Yeah,
and
so
you have a hockey background.
Yeah, my uncle, I don't know how the word namesake works, if it works in the direction of the person you're named for or the person who's named for them, but I think my uncle is my namesake, I believe. I'm named after him, but yeah, Brian Burke, former manager of the Maple Leafs and the Vancouver Canucks now, and then with the Calgary Flames, and now he's over with the Penguins. But yeah, he's been a pretty big figure in the league for a while. He's a cool dude. It's cool to be related to him and to have a family
He's a very cool dude,
integrated in hockey. Yeah, he really is. He keeps it real, which I always appreciate. My whole family has a penchant for that, which can be good and bad. Especially with how much time he spends on television. But it's cool to see him getting more and more involved in doing analysis and stuff like that, because I feel like it's really cool to see a guy with his kind of experience getting involved in that side of sportscasting instead of just being so involved in management. But obviously now that he's with the Penguins again, well, I shouldn't say again, but now he's with the Penguins, he doesn't have as much time for that. But he's a cool guy. It's cool being related to him. My dad is a huge sports fan in general. Huge hockey fan, so I've been to a lot of games with him. Been fortunate to be able to go and support, especially living in Chicago, which was cool to go through the whole transition of having no broadcast hockey and a hockey team that had lost a lot of its fan base with the whole Wirtz family situation, and then the Rocky Wirtz takeover and the whole change of Blackhawks management style and their whole new fan base coming into life. Happened while I was a fan of 4 different teams that were coming to town to try to put a whooping on them. So I have never been to a Blackhawks game. Of the 20 Blackhawks games I've been to, I've never been to a Blackhawks game as a Blackhawks fan. But I've been as Vancouver Canucks fans and Flames fans. Now, well, I haven't been there as a Penguins fan, but it's been an interesting experience as a hockey fan growing up with somebody who's so involved in the league, especially somebody who's moved around, because it's kind of dictated where my fandom has gone, because now I'm partially a Penguins fan, but living in Seattle, more than anything, I'm a Kraken fan because I want to have a kick-ass home team. So that's who I'm rooting for most especially. So it's really cool to be in a town where we're going to get the 32nd team. It's really exciting. Hopefully my uncle will be in town here, and if that's the case, if I get tickets, so I'll let you know so you can come out and join us. That's
yeah. Yeah, no, that is great. So that's, you kind of actually tied it together with a nice little bow there. How you being part of the Kraken coverage here and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think I'm gonna have. I think the plan going forward is we're gonna have you on a little bit more. Hopefully
Cool.
more often as we do this, more often during the season. So
one
kind
of the
like
cool things. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But one of the other cool things is I just got a press pass too. So I have a friend who just introduced me to the guy who owns the Tacoma Weekly publication, and they're going to do a Kraken spotlight that I might be able to do some writing for. So I just got a press pass, so I may be able to go to some of the Kraken games and go down and talk to potentially some of the players, part of management, some of the people that are involved with the team, to get a little bit more firsthand insight, which is potentially really exciting.
Excellent. That was where I was going with that. So yeah, that's kind of why I've kind of brought you in, other than you being a close friend of the family already. And
I'm the whole package, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it just all seemed to be perfect, that us two, me marrying into a family that you're close friends with, and here the stars all aligned, and here we are, covering the Kraken from Chicago.
Right.
Which is crazy. So yeah, that's it's awesome, and I'm glad you're here. And we're gonna work through this, and eventually we're gonna be doing this more often, I think, and hopefully having you on more often than not is kind of my co-host, my sidekick, because we definitely had many long conversations when I was in Seattle a couple months ago, and about hockey and stuff like that. So
absolutely. It's going to be a really fun season. It's going to be really cool to have a fully rounded roster of 32 teams as well. It's going to make for a really interesting, fully fledged season for the first time ever in the league's history. So, to get a local team, I'm over the moon.
Yeah, that is very cool. And you're somewhat further. You're not in Seattle proper either, and neither is Brandon. So, it's a little bit of travel to go in there, but it's going to be really cool. It's a cool city, and the team is really cool. So shifting back kind of the team a little bit and what was on the ice, and Brandon and I kind of talked about this a little bit, and we kind of looked at the roster, and I could put the roster back up on here. And, I don't want to put you on the totally on the spot, but, looking at the roster, any of these names really jumped out to you at all as far as, name? who can be, can kind of hit that next level, because currently they were all third line players, and now they're some of them are going to be more than that.
So the thing that really stood out to me, especially on the defense, and it's cool you guys were just talking about the defense, is the very Burkie move. I forget the manager's name for the Kraken. He escapes me, but it's a very Burkie move to go and collect the two brothers. We've got Cale and Hayden Fleury. Yeah. And I think that's going to be one of the coolest dynamic duos on ice all season in the entire league. So I love seeing brothers on the same team. It creates a really awesome dynamic. You get more heart out of either of the guys. It's cool to see them playing on the same side of the ice. So when I was a fan for the Ducks, we had the Niedermeyer brothers, but they were kind of on opposing sides of the ice, and they didn't get to play as much time on the ice together. I got to meet them, which was really cool, actually. They're really nice human beings. But it was cool to see the two of them, but it wasn't going to be, I don't think, as cool of a dynamic relationship between the two players as we might get from these two. And to be able to potentially put them out on the ice as together as first stringers or something like that, we may get a really, really awesome defensive combination with some really excellent young talent in the goal. So we could have a really dynamic defense, which excites me. And anybody going for the Burkie double brother play is always going to get my support. So
well, that's funny you bring that up, because it's an infamous joke here in Chicago that Stan Bowman loves brother. First of all, he loves to bring players back, and they never work out. And the second thing is he loves brothers. Yep. He loves brothers. Like, he has Kirby and Colton Dock right now, but there has been, Jonathan Taves, I think it was Taves' brother, was around for a little while. He's had several different brother combinations, and now he's got, the Jones brothers are here, and Kirby and Colton Dock, and there's been there were some players in the minors. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but there were a couple players in the minors from the Chicagoland area that were brothers that he had on the team. So he's done this many times, bringing in brothers, doing favors like that. So that is hilarious that you brought that up. But the Burkie, I think you're bringing up the Burkie with the Sedin brother kind of thing.
Exactly, so, that and then the Niedermeyers. So it was like
some of the new fans might not be as familiar with him making a deal in the draft to be able to take Daniel and Henrik Sedin in the first round together.
Absolute power move. Yeah. Like, one of the greatest power moves in hockey draft history.
That is a legendary move. It is legendary.
So I've always kind of attributed to him, but you're totally right. I mean, Bowman, I didn't realize there was the second. I didn't realize both Joneses were in Chicago and there was another set of brothers there. But that's super cool. Yeah. And I love seeing brothers on the ice together. You get a certain level of camaraderie that is just inherent between the players, especially when they're on the same side of the ice. So yeah, I think that's going to be really, really fun. The one thing that beyond, obviously wasn't available for the harvesting draft, but one of the things I would love to see us trade for, just as a fanboy thing, is I would love to see TJ Oshie on our team. I know that's a weirdly oh yeah, of course, I'm sure you would ask, but it's that would be super cool to see at some point if we could get some local talent back on the team like that. I'm not sure how many of these other guys, because I'm not as familiar with a lot of the names on this roster, are even from out here. But I love that kid, and there's so much love for him out here. Even my local hockey rink has a massive banner to him, and he's super involved in local programs and stuff. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be at some of the camps and stuff or whatever. But anyway, those guys, I love to see the brothers on the defense. But that's the one thing that's really stood out to me. A lot of the other names on this roster I'm not super familiar with. So I'm really excited. That's one of the things that makes me really excited about this new team, is it's there's a whole bunch of guys I get to go and root for and get to see come out and really put the deeks on.
There's a guy I have an irrational fandom of, and there's no real particular reason why I really like him, but it's Cole Lind.
Okay.
And I think the reason that I kind of liked him is in one of my versions of NHL 18, he ended up on my team and he scored a shit ton of goals.
Hell yeah.
And ever since then, I've just had kind of this, and I know he was kind of buried in the Vancouver Canucks system, And he never really bounced. I was like, why does this guy never like mounted to anything? I kind of always like watched him from a distance. There was a couple guys like that in the league that were like that. Like in the video games, they killed everyone, but in real life, they really never did much of anything. But that I'd like to see some Cole Lynn out there playing, especially against Vancouver, because that's where he came from. So yeah.
Okay, rad.
Yeah. What did you? Brandon? Did we finish talking about the goalie kind of thing? I mean, I think we kind of glossed over it.
Yeah, I think. I think the tandem alone is definitely division-wise. I mean, I think we got it. So, I don't know. How do you guys feel about the division? Besides the Vegas and besides the Knights and the Oilers. I mean, after that, I mean, it's kind of up for grabs to me.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a weird division. I mean, you don't know what some of these teams are going to be. You don't know what the Kings are going to be.
Right.
The Coyotes are a weird wild card team as well.
Right.
Like they seem to have, some weird back pocket potential.
Yeah, the weird thing about them though is that like they unload so many players and they have some weird drama going on with the roster, and it's not even like with the physical players. It's like there's just this weird haze over the roster that they can't seem to just put things together correctly, even when they had some pretty good players. So, yeah, it's going to be weird. I mean, they could slip in and make the playoffs. I'm not going to go out on a limb, and I'm naturally a glass half empty kind of guy. That's just kind of how I am. I'm more on the very careful, calculated side instead of wild, predictions. So, could they make that last playoff spot? Sure. Yeah. You know what? It's not inconceivable. Are they going to do what Vegas did in their first year? Absolutely not.
No.
Are they going to bottom out? You know what? It could happen. Unfortunately, they could be the last team in the division. And honestly, no one would really fault them for that.
Especially, I mean, like, and I think I was mistaken about the Coyotes. They're actually in the Central Division. They're not in the Pacific Division. But looking at
anymore, they were moved at one point. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's a really seriously stacked division. I mean, especially with some really like long-standing legacy teams. You're going to be in there fighting against the Flames. The Sharks are a good program. The Ducks are a consistently competitive program. The Golden Knights are going to, you never know, especially because they're one of the other new teams, and they've done well. They did very well in that first season. Kings are.
I think the Sharks. Just to stop you 1 second, I think the Sharks are going to be dog shit. They've got so much drama going on in that organization. Their top players are in trouble with the law.
Really? I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, no, yeah. Kane, Evander Kane's having some serious problems with, going through a messy divorce and going through a lot of legal issues. And one of their top young players, Tomas Hertl, has already asked to be traded. They've got a bunch of old guys on very expensive contracts, like Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns, are like on these contracts that are immovable and are way too expensive. Yeah, they're really in a bad situation. They had to completely revamp their goalie. Their goalie situation.
The roster has changed in the last like 2 seasons as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like I have not been as much of a hockey fan the last couple of years.
No, you will be. We're gonna make sure you're getting back up to speed again. But it's like,
but I just I didn't realize they'd lost a lot of their big talent.
Yeah, they did. They had, well, in some of their talent that was big at one point in time is no longer as good as they used to be, and they're making a lot of money, and they're not gonna be able to get rid of any of them. So they're kind of like where the Blackhawks were set when they had Seabrook and they had Keith and they had all these older guys on his Keith's contract wasn't even bad. But they had Seabrook, who was horrible. They couldn't move it. He was holding up not only a roster spot, but $7 million on the cap. And that's kind of what's going on there with Brent Burns. He's still an okay player, but he's making way too much money. They can't move the contract. And he's just going to, and like, you're not going to sit him. So he's going to play. And he's going to take someone's spot who may be better than him at this point. And it's such a
right, because they're going to feel like they're going to get their money's worth.
Yeah, and then the goalie situation as well. Like they completely revamped their goalie situation with some guys who are question marks still. So it's like, yeah, San Jose. I don't see San Jose being. They may be the last team in the division.
Fair enough.
But
let's make sure that's the case. So
yeah,
let's at least put the octopus ahead of the shark.
yeah, right, exactly.
Well, it's squid. I guess technically it's a squid.
Yeah, technically. Let's not get technical here.
Technically, right.
All right. Moving on a little bit. I gotta say, I want to touch on this a little bit too. This week it was this week where they released the merch to the fans. Right? Was it this week or was it late last week? Brandon?
Was it the sweaters you're talking about?
Yeah.
I think it was last. I think it was the 15th. So
Okay.
last
yeah.
week. Yeah.
So it's still fairly recent.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to get at here.
Right.
And you've got one right up there behind you. I can see it.
Right.
I think the jerseys look even better in real life than when they had showed the ones they had showed. At least the dark jerseys. I am not a fan of light jerseys of any kind. Not the Blackhawks, not
Agreed.
any team, not Calgary Flames. Like, I don't like the light white color jerseys. I would rather that like they made like the light color jersey like the light blue or something like that.
Yep.
That's what I would prefer. So I'm not a big fan of the light jersey, but the logo, of course, is amazing. And that blue jersey just pops. The stripes on the shoulders. Like, I saw some people just in the stands and pictures wearing it, and those blue just pop on there, and the numbers on the back, those look amazing.
Right.
I mean, I think they did a great job.
And it's kind of a singular detail, but I feel like the red of the eye with their little red ring, the red is going to pop really nicely as well. They're nicely designed. I'm curious to see them in person myself.
Yeah. Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the darker jersey for sure. To be honest, you probably never see me wearing a white one. I might get one, just for display purposes, but I don't know, something about it. And I don't trust myself wearing a white jersey either. Like, I'm
the same way. That's kind of
something on it. So yeah.
But even like my goalie gear is all black or black and red and with a little bit of white in it. That's all my gear. All my jerseys that I have that I wear, they're all dark colors. Right. I like colors. I like some, but I wish they would have used that baby blue color, that sea blue they're using.
Well, I'm curious if there's alternates or when we're going to get the alternate away jerseys and stuff like that, or at least if they have the designs finished, if we can buy. I'm looking at the NHL shop right now for Kraken stuff. There's just the home and the away jerseys. What about the alternates? I mean, I've got an alternate away Ducks jersey that's dark blue, and it's one of my favorite jerseys. And it's like, cool. It's not white. I'm the same way. I hate white jerseys. And the alternate away stuff ends up being super cool. If they do a baby blue, like alternate
with
away, I would buy one of those for sure. Yeah.
With the anchor
would be sick.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I want a jersey with the anchor on it. I'm wearing a hat, Brandon, and
Brandon
I got
the anchor too.
Both got the anchor hats.
Hell yeah.
Like, I love the anchor logo. That's what I used on the website for my Kraken points is anchor points, because I love the anchor. I think if it were me, I might have focused more on the anchor than the Seattle S and used the Seattle S as an alternate
shoulder
one.
logo.
Or something like that.
Yeah. The
alternate or shoulder, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be so cool. Baby blue jersey with the anchor on it. They're going to release them a year from now, and all three of us will be wearing them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that was interesting. Brandon, now I got to ask you this question. Do you have a number on there? Whose number is that?
That would be Grubauer.
Nice.
I actually have two of them. I have Grubauer and a Dreger.
Nice.
I kind of told myself, like, all right, if I'm gonna get a jersey with a name on it, I gotta, I don't want to get too crazy. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna stick to the goalies. And that's what it's gonna be. I might get a Matty Beniers down the road, or a captain if we ever get one, if they ever announce one. But for now, I'm gonna stick to the goalies.
That's cool. That's what I would do. Me being a goalie myself, I would wear the goalie ones as well. Right. Would you say, Bri?
I didn't know if I don't know if Brandon's a hockey player, if you're a goalie as well. I just assumed so. I know, Jeff, you are, but I was like, damn, if you're thinking, considering between either of the goalie jerseys, are you a goalie yourself?
No, I don't even. I honestly, I haven't even played hockey before. So.
Oh, for sure. Same, actually.
It's kind of. I kind of wanted to stick to one position, and I think with Grubauer being locked up for a few years, we'll be safe. So.
Rad. I dig that. That's a smart move.
Unless it's a huge embarrassing failure, he's going to be around for quite a while.
Right. Yep.
And let's not hope for a huge embarrassing failure. No, none of us want to see that.
No.
I don't want to cover a huge embarrassing failure.
Yeah, especially in goal.
Yeah. But yeah, I would the Drieger thing, I would have gotten him, or I would have gotten Grubauer for sure. Those would have been my picks. Brian, if you were to have to pick, do you have any preference, or would you just kind of go with the blank? Or
I think I would get a numberless Fleury jersey so that I could be like, yeah, I'm rocking it for both of the brothers.
There you go.
For whatever reason, I just feel like that's super fun. I just think about, I love my brother to death. I think it would be really fun to be on a sports team with him.
I love your brother, by the way.
Right? Isn't he? He's good people.
Yeah,
good people. He'd be great to have on here too. He's a serious sports fan. Yeah. Really serious sports fan.
We might have to have him on. We might have to do a brother thing. Hey,
and get my dad on here too. We'll do a little
Burkie brother thing. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get my uncle to join us. You know, he does all kinds of web stuff. I could always ask him. He'd be like, hey,
you can always ask. He's had his own podcast, so
yeah, exactly. So if he's doing this stuff, like, you know, he's already into it. Why not come do it with the fam? So, yeah. But yeah, Zach's great. I always think about, like, as cool as it would be. We're relatively close in age. He's a year and a half older than I am. I always wanted to play sports with him. Never had the opportunity to. I've loved hockey. The idea of playing hockey professionally with your brother, like, it's just got to be one of the coolest life experiences possible. Like, it makes me so happy to think about. And it's always fun. Like, I was a kid and was just getting into being a big Canucks fan at the time that, you know, Burkie pulled the Sedin move, and we got those brothers, and then transitioned to Anaheim, and I got to watch the Niedermeyer brothers play together. Yeah, and it's just like, cool. Now I get another set of brothers to root for. So I think they're until they prove that they're not deserving of that level of love, they're going to be my fucking boys to start.
There you go.
And to piggyback on Hayden Fleury, I have a business partner now who's doing, like, all the behind the scenes, like, operations stuff, like dealing with merch and all that. But he knows a lot of people in the Seattle area, like Luke Wilson, former tight end for the Seahawks, born in Canada, like, hockey guy. But anyways, he's been reaching out to Hayden Fleury as well, so he knows about us. And I don't want to give anything away, but we might be having some Fleury collab merch in the future. So
dope.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Dope.
And I'm going to check this out really quickly, but I believe, from what I remember, Hayden Fleury is a former first-round draft pick.
I think so.
I think I'm gonna look it up right now, and because I just haven't covered it. He was with the Carolina organization, and I haven't covered the Carolina organization. Let's see.
Number 7 pick from the Hurricanes in
2000. Yep, number 7 pick overall. So I was right. Yeah, Hayden Fleury, and I remember that because my daughter's name is Hayden. So, but yeah.
I think Ron.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good pedigree to him.
Like, congrats, by the way, to both you and your boy for the league wins. Both closed out championships this week.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, he did this summer, awesome. And I did my beer league. My beer league championship the other day.
Congratulations. Nice work.
Yeah, I know. It means nothing to anyone but me.
Dude,
I know. I joke
great.
Around. Beer league's beer league. It's fun. It's just a good time.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so we've kind of gone over a lot of the stuff. We're kind of at an hour here. But so just, in kind of wrapping this whole thing up, Brandon, kind of give the Rink fans, like, let us know where, they could find all of your stuff, and where they could follow you on, social media and stuff like that. So give us what you got.
Yeah. So, we have a website, 32crew.com. You can go on there.
And that's with a K, right?
Yes. With a K.
Yeah.
You can get on there. The website's kind of new, but we got new stuff coming in. We're going to be launching merchandise, like, real soon. With COVID, there's been a whole bunch of, like, logistics issues and all that, but we're hoping to drop pretty soon, at least by puck drop for sure. And then we'll be on Twitter, the 32 Crew on Twitter. We're on Instagram, Facebook, I think I got it all. But yeah, if you're a fan,
How do I get myself one of those 32 crew flags?
I will hit you up after this.
Cool. Brad, thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And I just wanted to also give a shout out to the people who had actually, Dan, who is DVH709 on Twitter, he actually sent questions and we kind of went over the subjects. I want to give him the credit. He asked questions about, the Francis, not maneuvering picks in the expansion draft and stuff like that. So that was kind of why that was brought up. And then he also had the question about Brandon, what you went through with the 32 crew and that whole story that we went through at the beginning of the podcast. So Dan, DVH709, thank you for sending those in. Sergeant Pickles, who I know always listens to us and all that, he actually was asking a question too about, will there ever be a charity hockey street hockey tournament in the future? Now, of course, we don't know this, but I will say from personal experience living in a town that has had a NHL team for a long, long time, they here have a summer street hockey 3-on-3 kind of outdoor in the parking lot tournament that they do as kind of a fan experience thing.
Right.
I can't imagine the Kraken don't know this and wouldn't want to do something like that to grow the game in the area. So I would say it's like a 99.9% chance there's going to be some kind of,
Street
fan
tournament
interaction, street hockey kind of, even if it's maybe, it might only be for kids, but whatever it is, they're going to want to grow the game. They're going to do everything they can. And that's a good way to do it. Bring them out, put a hockey stick in their hand. And sometimes people will become lifelong fans. That's all you have to do. And they become lifelong fans. So
one of the other things to keep in mind too is the cool thing about the partnership with Amazon. Amazon owns what was Key Arena. It's now the Climate Pledge Arena. They love good PR. They love doing big public events. To be able to do something either potentially linked up with the Climate Pledge thing or the Climate Pledge Arena, it might be pretty easy to get some public outreach stuff going through them. I would imagine that they've got a whole program for it, but that would be really cool. I didn't know that was a thing in Chicago. I wish I did, because that's awesome. I would love to see that be a thing out here.
Yeah, they do it more with the kids. My son Liam, who
whatever age group, it's just a cool concept.
He's gone out there and kind of fiddled around with them a little bit, but because he does play floor hockey and ice hockey, so he went out there and did it. But they actually have tournaments where you could enter. They entered like a lot of ice hockey teams, but also just neighborhoods entered kids into these things. It was like a 3-on-3 outdoor tournament with a bunch of little rinks outside, and it's good PR. It's good for kids. It's good to get kids involved in all that stuff. So yeah, that's cool stuff. So I think we kind of went over everything. We've kind of gone an hour here. I don't want to go too long because we've been off the air for a long time, but I just want to let everyone know, Burkie here, I'm going to try and have him on a lot more. So hopefully your voice is going to be a little more familiar to people. Brandon, I'm sure we're going to have you on again.
Definitely.
Every little once in a while, we're going to touch up with you. If you've got like a big thing coming on, like a big fan thing, happening, get together or whatever, let me know.
Yeah, sure.
Even if I can't get you on the podcast, I could give you a little shout out on the podcast and say, hey, if you're in the area or whatever, you want to meet up with the 32 crew, they're going to be doing this or they're going to be doing that. Feel free. Send it my way, and I'll give you a little shout out on the podcast. Being a friend of the website and everything.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I just popped on your site as well. It's the first time I'd been on there. Jeff's told me about the 32 crew before, but I just signed up for your mailing list and stuff. So if I can be involved in any of the stuff you're doing there, I'd love to be as well.
Oh yeah, for sure, brother.
Cool. So, I've got a couple of last minute plugs and stuff I want to get out there. Joe from the Tendy Talk podcast, and he has a YouTube channel as well. He had me on there a couple weeks ago. We talked a little Chicago Southwest Side beer league hockey. We're about the same age. We both play goalie. We're both from that area. He's in Minnesota now. We spent 2 hours talking about the Southwest side of Chicago. So it's a very niche thing and it would probably bore a lot of people. But if anyone's interested, I gave a little bit of my goaltending background, which you guys probably don't have a lot of, but I had given out my goaltending background and my thoughts on goaltending. And I'm actually thinking about maybe possibly getting a goaltending only podcast through The-Rink together. No team, just basically about goalies and stuff like that.
That'd be
so
sweet.
That may happen. Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm interested in that. I know so little about goaltending, and I'm just so impressed by it. I'm curious.
Well, you're my boy. I can always bounce things off of you, so I can drag you along at anything.
Sure.
Anything I want to do. Yeah. So, that would be cool. My buddy, who is another goalie, his name's Pete Fercano. Old guy, grew up on the the south side where I did. He's got a hockey team in Louisiana. So, I best wishes out to those guys. But he's got an inline hockey team called the Maven Voodoo Hockey Team. So a shout out to those guys. They're going to be playing in some local roller hockey tournaments and stuff like that. I think they might be going to Nashville and doing a couple travel teams. But he's an old guy like me, so he's still out there. Still, after many years, he returned to start doing it again. And so yeah, I being a goalie, I've got a lot of goalie contacts and a lot of goalie friends. So shout out to those guys down there. So if you don't know about us, we're, www.the-rink.com. That's where I write about the Kraken. We've got another writer right now. His name's Dave Perks. He's going to be joining us. I'm going to have him on the podcast in the future. He's a newer hockey fan. He's a lot like, kind of how Brandon was probably a couple years ago, a newer hockey fan. But he's getting into being, he lives in Virginia, but he's getting into being a Kraken fan and a new Kraken fan. So we're going to give him he's going to give a perspective of the new fan, learning entry level, how people, who are new Kraken fans, learning the game can kind of ride along with him. That's kind of how we're going to do this with him. I'm going to be more of the deeper analysis. He's going to be more of the, fresh new fans perspective. So keep an eye out for that. He's a really good writer, and we're going to have a lot of stuff from him coming out.
Excellent.
So on our social medias, you could find us, on almost everything. On at The Rink Official, which is Instagram. It's Facebook page. It's also, we have it on Twitter as well. You could find The Rink on LinkedIn if you want to. We're going to put our content out there. So it's all over there. And then we have all of our separate divisions, which is The Rink Chi, which is the Chicago division, The Rink Colorado, The Rink Columbus. These are all Twitter accounts, by the way. The Rink Seattle, which is what you should be following us on right now. And then also I have a Kraken Hostel account. So just the podcast information goes out on that one. There's also the Chicago Rinkcast, which they're going to start firing that up again soon. And I am at Puck and Hostel on the interwebs. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. And you could probably find me arguing with somebody somewhere. That's usually what I do on the interwebs. Mostly Chicago fans, mostly irrational Chicago fans, not Kraken fans. I have not gotten into any arguments with any Kraken fans. So there's nothing to fight about just yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. But go, if you can, head over to the iTunes, rate, review us. This is going to be on the audio version, but there's also, we're going to be streaming live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, all of our new, upcoming episodes. So that, you can subscribe to us on any of those other mediums. And our YouTube channel, you can subscribe to that too. We don't have a custom link to it. So if you just go to www.the-rink.com, there is a link on there to get to our YouTube page. You got to have so many subscribers and stuff to be able to get a custom name. And we just don't have that just yet. So with that, I also don't want to forget, because I forgot to mention them at the beginning of the show, puckhockey.com, puckhcky.com. I'm amazed that I forgot to bring them up, but I haven't been doing this in a little while. There you go. Brandon had the sticker up, and you see the little logo up in the corner. They've been our founding sponsors. They have our merch line, and if you're a heavy metal or hard rock fan, and I'm going to say this for the Seattle people, they have a whole Alice in Chains line. I'm a big Alice in Chains fan, so I was glad to see that. But yeah, they have a whole, so it's Alice in Chains logos on hockey themed apparel and jerseys. You get a jersey with the Alice in Chains on there. So it kind of ties in. There's one on there that's like the color of the Kraken.
Sick.
Yeah. I'm thinking I might get that Alice in Chains one that's the color of the Kraken.
Those are dope. The Pantera one is sick as shit too.
Yeah. They They got the Pantera one. I mean, I'm Puckin Hostile, so I like Pantera. And Metallica, they've got all the hard rock and metal bands pretty much that you can
They
imagine.
just dropped a System of a Down collab.
Yeah.
Oh my God, System of a Down hockey jerseys. All right, I know what I'm asking for Christmas.
And that's the thing about it. They have hockey jerseys for every. They lead with the hockey jerseys, and then everything else follows in behind it.
Oh
so they have a hockey jersey for every single metal band. Yeah.
Excellent.
They have Slayer. My boys in Slayer.
I didn't know about this. I'm gonna be spending a bunch of money on their site.
Well, you know what you do?
These are
you know what you do?
collabs.
I'm going to tell you. You look at the bottom of the screen right here. It says use discount code The-Rink, and you get 10% off of your order.
Perfect.
$100 gets you a free T-shirt. It'll be a puck hockey T-shirt, like probably that logo that's at the top. I think it's a sick logo. So
yeah.
But go over there, check it out. Get some Rink stuff. Get some metal stuff. Throw it all in the cart. Use the discount code The-Rink. You'll get your 10% off. And if you spend $100, I think $200 is another level as well. You get something else as well, some other swag. But they're always really generous with stickers, swag, T-shirts, stuff like that. They're always really generous with that. And for those who don't know, I was a fan of puckhockey.com before they partnered with us at the Rink. I was buying their stuff before we ever got together and got kind of into this partnership. So we're really glad to have. Yeah, we're great. We're really,
but slightly.
Yeah, I know. For me,
right?
Especially,
it's perfect. Yeah,
I mean,
awesome.
I'm a huge metalhead. That's why I wanted to mix metal and hockey, and they mix metal and hockey. So it couldn't have been more perfect. Yeah.
Oh,
so and like I said, if you like the Rink logo or you want to support us, get a hat, get some T-shirt. I know I sent Brandon some gear before, so I know he's got some. We don't have anything super flashy, but a T-shirt with the logo on it. They got the baseball T-shirt, the 3/4 length ones. We've got the hats. I'm not wearing my hat tonight, but they've got a couple different Rink hats. Nothing out of the ordinary. No hockey jerseys or anything like that, but they do have T-shirts, so it's all affordable, fairly affordable stuff. So go check it out, and you can support our website at the same time.
Pricing on all this is reasonable. I'm looking at the Rink stuff right now. Nice.
Yeah, they do, and they have they have some weird there's kind of their older clearance stuff. So even some of that stuff, I go in there all the time, and I raid their clearance sections because they have some really cool stuff, Skate with the Devil kind of thing, from Tom Hazert, who's a music producer, who's kind of worked with Megadeth. So he's got his own line of stuff, and I got stickers for that for my car and things like that. So all kinds of cool stuff.
Dude, and they have a rare stuff section, like a fully signed head PE hat with the whole signatures from the band.
Yeah, I think they're really tight with the band 36 Crazy Fists. I think they're really tight with that band. If anyone's a fan of them, I'm not really a big fan. That's okay though. I'm a fan of at least 80% of the other things that they've got on there. So probably more.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So super cool site. Super cool sponsors. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely send some stuff your way, brother. As soon as we have some merch out, one of our first limited tees, speaking of the rock and tour vibe, we're dropping a tour tee. It's the Pacific Division tour tee. So if you can picture an old school rock t-shirt, but on the back it's going to be the cities of the Pacific Division that we're visiting.
I know exactly what you're saying.
So I'll send you one of those for sure.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
On YouTube, Ron.
Dope.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Cool, great. Man. All right. Well, I think we're going to kind of wrap this up this time. People are still getting familiar with us. So I'm Gatekeeper, aka Puckin Hostile on the interwebs. My kind of co-host, Burkie, Brian Burke, who joined us a little late, but that's all right. He's going to be around a little more often. And I hope you guys like what we're doing. And let's not forget Brandon Seeley from the 32 Crew for coming back after going through what he went through with, rebranding his fan group and everything with the help of the Seattle Kraken organization.
Yep.
Oh, Jeff had mentioned this to me. You were the one who had gotten, I don't know if it was a cease and desist or whatever, as far as they made you rebrand.
Yeah.
Damn.
And they ended up helping.
Okay.
They drew up the logo and all that. So
what? That's super cool.
Yeah.
It's a great logo.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. So Well, here we are at an hour and 15 minutes, so we're going to wrap it up. So thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules to download, listen, or watch and support us. Until next episode, see you on the rink.